Have you ever felt this? You offer another person nothing but clear water, a gesture of pure kindness, yet they seem to see only mud. You extend your hand to help them rise, and in return, you feel a pull dragging you down. They meet your warmth with a strange coldness, your clarity with confusion, your efforts with dismissal. A quiet wisdom, I was taught, can help us understand this profound human mystery. Most believe a simple truth that kindness is a seed that will always grow into a kind tree. But the old teachings, which studied the deep currents of the human heart for ages, revealed a more difficult truth. Sometimes, your light does not bring comfort. It can trigger the very darkness it touches. Stay with me on this path. By its end, you will understand the deep inner landscape of why a gentle heart can sometimes feel like a disadvantage, and more importantly, how to protect the source of your own compassion. The ancient wisdom speaks of something many find difficult to hold. Every one of us has a shadow. It is the river that flows beneath the river of our known selves. And the less we allow this deep water to enter the light of our conscious life, the darker and more powerful its unseen current becomes. What does this mean for you when you simply wish to be kind? This is the reality my tradition speaks of. When you consistently offer kindness, patience, and a calm presence to another, you are doing more than just being gentle. You are holding up a silent mirror, and in this mirror, your light reflects their own shadow. Your kindness becomes a quiet song of what they believe they are not, cannot be, or have buried long ago. This shadow, as the wise once taught, is all the parts of ourselves we have pushed away, the failures we do not want to see, the difficult feelings we have locked in the cellar of our being. And this is where the path becomes troubled. When another feels your genuine light, their deeper self does not think, "How beautiful this light is." Instead, a whisper rises from the depths. "This light shows my own darkness. This presence makes me feel my own absence." The wise ones understood that this creates a casting of shadows. They begin to see their own shadow in you. You become the source of their discomfort, not because of what you have done, but because of the reflection you hold. But the river goes deeper still. The masters of the mind have said, the most terrifying journey is the one towards accepting oneself completely. Your kindness, your presence, forces others to stand at the edge of this journey, to face the parts of themselves they have long kept hidden. Think of it. When you offer consistent peace to one who lives in turmoil, patience to one who is easily shaken, understanding to one who judges harshly, you are showing them another possible world. And this is a fundamental teaching about the human heart. Most would rather hold on to the identity they know, even a painful one, than face the deep uncertainty of change. Your presence, your very way of being, becomes a threat to the story they tell themselves. My lineage calls this a turning of inner balance. Instead of feeling inspired, they feel a deep inner poverty. And the only way they know to restore their own sense of balance is to prove that your wealth, your light, is false. This is the great paradox. The brighter your light, the more it illuminates their shadows. The more their shadows are illuminated, the more they must convince themselves and the world that you are not truly light, but a trickster, a manipulator with a hidden, darker purpose. My teachers understood that people will weave entire stories about you, simply to avoid the one true story your kindness reveals about their own heart. This brings us to one of an ancient tradition's most vital insights. A great master once said, "Everything that disturbs us in others can lead us to a new understanding of ourselves." But what happens when it is your light that disturbs them? What does that reveal? Here is what my tradition uncovered about the heart's landscape. Most people live their lives wearing a mask, a persona they have crafted to navigate the world. This mask is often built on being right, being strong, or being realistic, which often is a kinder word for cynical. When you appear with genuine kindness, you are not wearing a mask. You are showing your true face. This creates a powerful disturbance for those who have forgotten they are even wearing a mask. The wisdom of my heritage teaches that your authenticity makes their persona feel hollow, like a clay pot with nothing inside. They cannot admit this to themselves, so they must make your true face the problem. But this is where the path takes a painful turn. The wise ones discovered people will often attack the very qualities in you that their own soul quietly longs for. They will call your kindness a weakness, your patience a foolishness, and your understanding a naivety. Why? To admit that your kindness is a form of strength would be to admit their own way is a form of lack. This is the casting of shadows. They are placing their own inner battles onto your calm field. They are not truly angry at your light. They are angry at their own inability to find it within themselves. And this leads us to a momentous clearing in the forest. A teacher of the heart said, "Your vision becomes clear only when you can look into your own heart. One who looks outside dreams. One who looks inside awakens." But what happens when your awakening disturbs another's dream? This is what the masters learned about the human journey. Most are sleepwalking through their lives, following the paths laid by others, doing what is expected, never questioning the patterns of their own feet. My tradition calls this state the great forgetting. When you appear with authentic kindness, a constant, unwavering light, you demonstrate what my tradition calls the path of remembering, the journey of becoming your whole and true self. My teachers taught that this very act threatens those who have not begun their own inner work. Your growth casts a long shadow over their stagnation. Your presence illuminates their absence. But here is the crux of the matter. My tradition realized that people will often try to extinguish the lights of those who are further along the path. It is not a conscious choice. It is a deep, unconscious reflex to pull you back into the shared dream, the shared sleep. This explains why the more you journey inward, the more some may turn away from you. The more you cultivate your inner garden, the more they will try to stomp on the flowers. The more you heal, the more they will try to remind you of your old wounds. This brings us to a teaching of great importance. A central teaching of my lineage is that we all swim in a collective river, a stream of shared thoughts and patterns that shapes our world. But what happens when you decide to swim against the current? Here is what the wise ones understood about the great river of humanity. When you consistently choose kindness in a world that often rewards its opposite, you are moving against what my lineage calls the collective current, the accepted patterns of your tribe. The old masters taught that this makes you a threat to the established order. Your kindness whispers that another way of being is possible, and this whisper can sound like a roar to those who have built their entire home on the riverbank of the current system. But this is where the water becomes very deep. My tradition discovered that this collective river carries ancient patterns, what they called great stories, and one of the most powerful is the story of the one who is cast out. When you are a lamp in a dark room, you become a perfect place for others to cast their shadows. People will project their own guilt, their own shame, their own inner struggles onto you. They convince themselves that you are the problem, not the river that taught them to be so harsh. This is why a gentle heart can become a target. Your kindness does not just disturb one person, it can disturb the river itself. People will gather against you not for what you have done, but for what your very presence represents. And this brings us to the most essential question on this path. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But what if becoming who you are makes others see you as an enemy? Here is a profound truth. The people who cannot receive your kindness are actually showing you something essential about yourself. They are a mirror, revealing where you might be letting your own life force leak away, where you might be seeking your reflection in their eyes. The ancient wisdom teaches that true kindness flows from a place of fullness, not of need. It flows from a mountain spring, not from a beggar's empty cup. It comes from having sacred boundaries, like a garden with a strong fence, not from a desperate wish to please. But here is an uncomfortable truth to hold. Sometimes others recoil from your kindness because, in its deepest essence, it is not truly kindness. It is a form of subtle control. A master would say you are trying to shape how others see you by performing an act of goodness. My tradition calls this the shadow of the helper. When you are kind to receive something in return, praise, acceptance, love, you are not flowing from your true source. You are performing an act, and people, in their bones, can feel the difference between a gift and a bargain. My lineage discovered that this performative kindness often creates more resistance than genuine kindness, because it feels like a subtle chain, an unseen debt. So, how can you know the difference in your own heart? A wise one once taught, "I am not what has happened to me. I am what I choose to become." And this is where these teachings can transform your path. Here is what the masters learned about walking through a world of shadows. The first step is to see with clarity that another's reaction to your light is not about your light. It is about them. It is about their own relationship with their own shadows, their unhealed places, their own fears. My lineage teaches that once you understand this, you can choose how to respond. You can continue to be kind, but from a place of solid ground, not from a place of grasping. But this is the crucial part. The masters taught that you must also look at your own stream. Are you being kind because it is your true nature, a river that must flow? Or are you being kind because you want something from the land it touches? This is what we call walking into your own shadow. You must face the part of you that wants to be seen as the good one. Only when you have made peace with your own inner darkness can you offer pure light, expecting nothing in return. And this leads to a powerful realization. A master said, "Everything that disturbs us in others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But what if the disturbance is teaching you about the sacred fence around your garden? This is what my lineage understood about healthy connection. True kindness requires clear boundaries. When you are kind without these boundaries, you are not truly being kind. You are allowing yourself to become a vessel for another's pain. You are enabling them to cast their shadows onto you. My tradition teaches that those who have cultivated their own garden will appreciate your garden's beauty. Those whose gardens are overgrown will be threatened by yours. But here is the turning point. The masters discovered that when you have a strong fence, you can be kind without becoming a target. You can show compassion without absorbing another's confusion. This is what my lineage calls clarity of self. You remain rooted in your own earth, while allowing others to remain rooted in theirs. You do not carry their burdens. You do not try to fix their garden or rescue them from it. And this changes the very air around you. When you are kind from a place of strength, from a full well, people respond differently. They cannot cast their shadow of inadequacy onto you because you are not trying to prove your light. But there is still more to see. A teacher of the heart said, "Until you make the unseen seen, it will direct your life, and you will call it destiny." And one of the deepest unseen patterns is the dance of the victim and the rescuer. This is what the wise ones discovered about this draining cycle. Many who are met with anger for their kindness are unknowingly playing the part of the rescuer. They are unconsciously looking for broken birds to mend. My teachers taught that this creates a dynamic where the one who is rescued will eventually resent the rescuer, because the bond is built on imbalance. But here is the twisted part of the path. The rescuer often unconsciously chooses those who will turn on them, because a deep part of them believes they should be punished for standing taller. The masters discovered this is a form of unseen self-harm. The person is reliving an old story where their goodness was not welcome. This is why the same storm appears again and again. If you keep finding people who resent your kindness, a wise one would invite you to ask if you are unconsciously seeking them out. You are looking for those who will confirm your deepest fear about yourself. This brings us to the ultimate truth. A great master taught, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. This is also true for kindness. Here is the final teaching. The goal is not to stop being kind. The goal is to dismantle the barriers that make your kindness a target. My tradition teaches these barriers are seeking validation through good acts, trying to control others' perceptions of you, rescuing others to feel whole, hiding from your own shadow by wearing the mask of goodness, and lacking the sacred boundaries that protect your own life force. But here is the beautiful part of the path. When you remove these barriers, your kindness becomes like a mighty river. It flows from a place of overflow, not of lack. It comes from a strong mountain, not from a weak foundation. My teachers discovered that this kind of authentic kindness is rarely met with hatred because it threatens no one. It does not make others feel poor because it is not trying to prove its own richness. And this is where true transformation flows. The most terrifying journey is to accept oneself completely. And when you accept yourself, all of you, including your own shadow, your kindness becomes unshakable, like a mountain in the wind. This is what the masters realized about true kindness. It does not need to be received well. It does not need applause. It is not there to change anyone. The wise ones teach that authentic kindness is simply an expression of your being, like a flower releasing its fragrance. It is not a strategy to get what you want. But here is the final paradox. When your kindness becomes this authentic, others are far less likely to resist it. They may not understand it, but they cannot cast their shadows on it because it is solid. It has no cracks for their doubt to enter. This is what my tradition calls simply being. You are not performing kindness. You are an embodiment of it. You are not trying to be a good person. You are expressing the true nature that lies within you. And this brings us to a final clearing. A master once taught, where love is the guide, there is no will to power. And where power is the goal, love is absent. But what happens when your simple love reveals another's inability to love? Here is what the wise ones learned about the shadow of envy. When you show unwavering kindness, you are doing more than being nice. You are demonstrating a kind of spiritual wealth. You are showing that you have something to give that does not deplete you. My tradition teaches that this triggers what we call a deep poverty of spirit in those who feel emotionally bankrupt. They see your endless spring, and it is a painful reminder of their own dry well. But this is where the path can become truly dark. The wise ones realize that envy does not simply want what you have. It wants to destroy what you have. The envious heart does not think, I wish I could be as kind as that. It thinks, I must prove that their kindness is a lie. This is why they will test you. They will push the fences of your garden, make endless demands, and create storms that force you to finally say, no. Then, they will use your sacred no, your necessary boundary, as proof that your kindness was never real to begin with. The masters discovered that this is a calculated, though often unseen, attempt to pull you down to their barren ground. If they cannot share in your inner wealth, they will try to steal it from you. And this brings us back to ourselves. Everything that disturbs us in others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But what if people are seeing their own cruelty in your kindness? Here is what my lineage discovered about the mind's reflections. When someone has known only harshness, their heart cannot believe that a gentle spring exists. Their mind cannot process that someone would be kind without a hidden price. My tradition teaches that they will project their own tools of manipulation onto you. They assume you are being kind to get something, money, attention, control, because that is the only reason they would ever be kind. But here is the twisted knot. The wise ones discovered these people can become obsessed with finding your true motives. They will dig through your past, analyze your every move, and invent complex stories about why you are really being kind. This is what we call the suspicious heart. They are so convinced that a clear river must be poisoned that they will interpret everything you do through this murky lens. A gift becomes a trap, help becomes a tool of control, understanding becomes a form of arrogance, and the more you try to prove your heart is pure, the more suspicious they become. The masters realize that defending your own light actually feeds their darkness. It proves to them you are hiding something because, in their world, the innocent have no need to speak. This creates what we might call the paradox of the true self. The archetype of the wounded healer teaches that the soul has the power to heal itself. But what if your offer of medicine threatens another's identity as a wounded person? This is what my lineage discovered about those who have become attached to their own pain. Some have built their entire house upon the foundation of being hurt, abandoned, or mistreated. Their wounds have become their story, their claim to care, their reason for not walking forward. My tradition teaches that when you appear with kindness, you are offering a path out of that house. But to heal means leaving the only home they have ever known. And this is terrifying. Here is a shocking truth. The masters realize these people will often set fire to the path of their own healing to stay in the familiar pain. They will reject your gentle hand, push you away, and then use your departure as proof that everyone always abandons them. This is what we call the curse of the victim. They punish you for trying to help them because your help implies they have the power to change. And change is the one thing they fear more than their own suffering. This explains why the people who seem to need kindness the most are often the ones who fight it the hardest. They are not just rejecting you. They are rejecting the possibility of their own freedom. My teachers saw that this creates a prison of the heart, where they must keep you as the jailer to remain the blameless prisoner. But the path grows even more subtle. A great teacher said, "The meeting of two souls is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." But what if someone refuses the alchemy of your kindness? This is what my lineage understood about inner authority. When you consistently choose the path of kindness over cruelty, patience over agitation, understanding over judgment, you are demonstrating not moral superiority, but emotional mastery. The old teachings call this a profound inferiority that rises in others. They feel small next to the mountain of your stillness. So, they must find ways to prove your mountain is just a pile of sand. Here is the subtle method. The wise ones discovered they will often use your very kindness as a stone to throw at you. They will call you too nice, knave, or weak to make themselves feel stronger in comparison. This is called a defensive stance. They cannot attack your kindness directly, for it is blameless. So they attack your intelligence, your awareness, or your understanding of the real world. They need to convince themselves and everyone else that kindness is a form of blindness. And this leads to a sad conclusion. My lineage realized that some would rather feel cruel and clever than kind and simple. They have mistaken the quiet strength of the heart for a weakness of the mind. But here is where this understanding sets you free. The most terrifying journey is to accept oneself completely, and your kindness forces others to face their own lack of self-acceptance. Here is what the masters discovered about the test of a true heart. When you are genuinely kind, you are moving from what my tradition calls your original self. You are not performing. You are not calculating. You are simply being. The old teachings say that this true self is like a bell that rings with a pure tone. It reveals the cracked bells all around it, and that makes them deeply uncomfortable. But here is the most profound part. The wise ones realize that those who recoil from your kindness are often those who have never heard their own bell ring true. They have been playing a part for their entire lives, so they cannot believe that you are not also playing a part. This is the performance trap. They are so accustomed to using their actions as tools to shape the world that they assume everyone is doing the same. Your simple, genuine kindness shatters their map of how the world works. And this creates what my tradition calls a crack in the mind. Their heart cannot hold both the existence of genuine kindness and their worldview that everyone acts from a place of self-interest. So they have two paths: change their entire view of the world, or convince themselves your kindness is a lie. Which path do you think is easier to walk? But this is where the teaching becomes your own power. A teacher of the heart said, "Your vision becomes clear only when you look into your own heart. One who looks outside dreams. One who looks inside awakens. And to awaken is to develop what my tradition calls a sober heart." This is what the masters discovered about a sober heart. Just as one who has overcome drink must be mindful around alcohol, a person of the path must be sober around emotional storms. My tradition teaches that when your heart is sober, you can see with perfect clarity when another is casting their wounds onto your kindness. You do not take it personally because you understand it is not your story. But this is the most crucial part. The masters realized that a sober heart does not mean becoming cold or building walls. It means being kind, but not naive. It means being compassionate, but not a servant to another's pain. This is what my lineage calls conscious compassion. You can see another's suffering without taking on their suffering. You can understand their shadow without accepting their shadow. You can be a lamp in the dark without becoming the darkness. And this changes everything. When your heart is sober, another's resistance to your kindness becomes information, not injury. It tells you about their inner world, not about your own worth. The wise ones discovered that this allows you to hold your kindness while protecting your own energy. You do not become cruel in response to their cruelty, but you do not become a doormat either. This leads us to the most important practice. I am not what has happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And what you choose to become determines how your kindness lands in the world. This is the ultimate wisdom of my teachers. People do not hate true kindness. They hate what that kindness represents, a threat to their ego, their mask, their unhealed places. The wisdom of my tradition says your journey is not to make your kindness more acceptable to a wounded world. Your journey is to ensure your kindness is authentic, rooted in sacred boundaries, and flows from a place of solid strength. But remember this crucial point. The masters discovered that the very same kindness that triggers shadows in some creates deep connection and gratitude in others. The only difference is the inner state of the person receiving it. So this is your choice. You can continue to be a light while building a strong lantern to protect your flame from the wind. You can be your authentic self while drawing clear, sacred lines in the sand. You can express your true nature while refusing to be a target for the shadows of others. This is what my tradition calls becoming whole. To become fully yourself, a mountain unshaken by the winds that blow around it. And this is the road to freedom. When you understand that another's inability to receive your kindness is about their own inner world, not yours, you become free. You can be kind without becoming a victim. You can be authentic without becoming a target. Because ultimately, as the ancient masters discovered, the goal is not to be liked by all. The goal is to be true to yourself while walking in peace with those who can stand in your light. And that, my friend, is the secret to being a kind heart in a world that is often confused by kindness. You do not change who you are. You become more of who you are, but with a stronger stance and a clearer heart. Because the old wisdom was right. Your vision becomes clear only when you look into your own heart. One who looks outside dreams. One who looks inside awakens. And the kindness of an awakened heart is unshakable. But here is the final truth the masters would want you to hold. The people who cannot bear your light are your greatest teachers. They show you, with perfect clarity, exactly where your fences need strengthening, where your heart needs clarity, and where your self-acceptance must go deeper. They are not your enemies. They are your mirrors. And when you can see them as mirrors instead of arrows, you have mastered the art of being kind in a world that sometimes cannot hold it. This is what my lineage calls holding the paradox, to be kind and to be strong, to be compassionate and to be protected, to be open and to be whole. And this is the mastery the wise ones discovered. When you can be kind without needing applause, helpful without needing thanks, and understanding without needing validation, you have found what the teachings call true freedom of the heart. You are no longer a victim of the shadows of others, And you are no longer a prisoner of your own need to be seen as light. You are simply, authentically, and powerfully kind. And that changes everything. Remember, the people who recoil from your kindness are showing you their wounds, not your weakness. Your practice is to remain kind while protecting your energy, setting your boundaries, and choosing to walk with those who can see your true face. Because as the great masters ultimately discovered, the world does not need less kindness. It needs more people who are kind from a place of unshakable strength. And now you know the difference. Now you have the map for this path, to be authentically kind in a world that is often not ready for it. The choice is yours. The strength is yours. The freedom is yours. Walk this path wisely.